Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. Today I'll be building part 2, which is the chest piece to my Iron Man Mark 6. Enjoy. So referring back to my drawing here, I'm going to primarily be working on the chest piece. And what I did was this triangle piece right here, which I see on the paper, I just draw it out as I see, and I remove all these pieces. And it's mostly just drawing after what I plan to build. And this will be the foundation of where I build everything off of. Now moving on to this region of the chest piece, I'm starting to build on the sides here, and as you can see, it's just me drawing what I see, especially according to the drawing over there I already have. Now, as you know, that most of my builds are just drawing and guessing and gluing pretty much. So in most cases, whatever works, and this is just as accurate as I can possibly get it to the scale I see. Then I just glue them to each side they belong on, and I cut out those shapes and just glue them back together just to get those crevices for the detail. And then also to build up the shoulders so I can start wearing this, I just put some strips of cardboard that are glued right there at an angle and then go over the shoulder like that on both sides. Now moving on to the back here, I have this very large piece of cardboard about 1 foot by 20 inches. And what I'm going to do is, by looking at the back of this model here, I'm drawing out the curvature of where my arm will fit through on the back, and then as this slant right here, as you can see right there, and then I'm going to mirror that. This is what it looks like, and as you can see, it's starting to take the shape of the top half of the back plate. And then right here, I'm going to do the same thing where I just draw one half of the shape, and I'm going to flip it over and mirror it. And now that that slot is cut out for the back, I'm just gonna glue it to these strips. Now that is secured to the shoulder straps, I've added 2 more thicker pieces of cardboard right there on the shoulder to give that raised detail. And on the back here, I just continued adding more pieces of cardboard and tracing the rest of that angle downwards, because that's what it looks like. And this piece was just very easy. I just continued to glue pieces of cardboard to more pieces of cardboard and just continuing to make that shape. I'm just going to put the scrap piece for the back here right back there, but just a little bit lower just to add that depth. And we're going to continue adding detail on this very blank back here. To mimic the spine that runs down the last part of the back plate, which continues down to the lower spine pieces, I have these 3 short pieces cut out like this, and I'm going to bend them at the edges and then overlap them to try to mimic that shape you see on the image. And we're just going to glue this piece right there, just like that. So a method I like using is using old Lego plates, and I stack them on top of each other. All right, glue on the top, stick it right there where you want it to connect, and then when that dries, put glue on the bottom there, stick it on the part that's going to connect onto that Lego plate, and then by the time it dries, you can pull them apart. Just like so. Now I know this should really be the finishing touch, but I'm going to start working on the arc reactor here, not the glowing element. I'm just talking about the triangular piece right here. Now as you can see, I drew it out so far. What I'm going to do is cut out this inner triangle right here, trace it onto some parchment paper that I've taped down on my desk, and then I built a border the same shape with some cardboard that has some wax on the back that has a very similar texture to the parchment paper. And then I'm going to mix up some resin and then pour a thin layer and then wait for that to dry for about 24 hours. And then I'll have a piece of plastic that is relatively transparent. I don't need it to be completely clear like glass because I need it to diffuse some of the light source I plan to put in the arc reactor. So I'm just going to pour some resin in there until it gets a thin layer. So I've mixed equal parts of part 1 and 2 according to the instructions, and I'm supposed to stir for about 3 minutes straight. And I mixed a little bit extra just to make sure I wouldn't run short of resin. But yeah, so far I'm still on the stirring process, and I'll pour it in very soon. I will now begin pouring in the resin, and the mold isn't 100% perfect. All I need is the basic triangle shape, and I can trim down any imperfect edges. That's kind of cool how it just like slowly seeps into the corners. Sorry I couldn't fulfill the satisfaction of it seeping into that corner. I had to pour the other cup in with my other hand. This is what it looks like so far, and then we're gonna have to wait a few hours, pretty much a day and a half for that to not only dry, but then cure. Because I'm making some kyber crystals here, and I used an ice cube mold, and what I did was, while it was still flexible, shaved it down to these crystal shapes, and they were still pretty flexible when I shaved them down, but then a day later, they were rock hard. So that's what's going to happen with this. But for the time being, I'm going to have to figure out how to put my arms, which was the last Iron Man related video, onto the torso, and I'm just going to mount the shoulder pieces because the arms can stay on with friction. And I'm going to show you guys the back here. There we go. So what I ended up doing was adding the circles you see here on both sides of the shoulder pads, and I just zip tied them on because that's the quickest, easiest way I feel like doing it right now. So it's been about 12 hours since I poured the resin, and now it's solid. It might still be a little bit bendy, and I just might have to wait for it to cure completely, but I'm going to take it out of this mold and try to do it as cleanly as I possibly can. So I took it out of the mold here, and as you can see, like I said, it is still very flexible, and it just slowly goes back into its original shape, and you're gonna have to just leave it flat for another few hours so it can completely cure and harden like a piece of acrylic. I had to shave off some of the sides that still had some of the cardboard on the sides here, but otherwise it easily came off the parchment paper. It's a really cool texture on the back. So yeah, right now I'm just waiting for this to dry and back to the torso. Now that this is completely cured and hardened, I'm going to hot glue it into the chest piece just like so. So I just hot glued on the border here of the triangle, and this is what it looks like. Looks pretty smooth to me, and I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit. So here's me wearing it, and I think it turned out very great, and I'm very glad with how the back turned out. And here's the same thing with the arms, which also looks magnificent. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like these builds that I do, like and subscribe for more videos.